Hey guys, Ross here from Fit for Life Physical Therapy. So today I want to talk about the pelvic tilt. Now the pelvic tilt is an exercise if you've been in physical therapy for your low back pain, if you've looked online for your low back pain, everyone does the pelvic tilt. That's usually the first line of defense. I don't necessarily agree with it, but we'll talk about why. So for those of you who don't know what a pelvic tilt is, this is our pelvis, and we're looking at does it tilt or not. So if I'm looking at someone from the side, I'm judging from the ASIS in the front, so that's just a landmark that we use, and the PSIS in the back. And we're looking in relation to really what is the positioning. And there should be a slight angle going down, but when we have the ASIS and the PSIS level, or the PSIS is a little bit lower, that's called the posterior pelvic tilt. And then if the PSIS is drastically higher, that's called an anterior pelvic tilt. Now what that can do is cause a lot more of a lordosis in our low back. And usually anyone that comes in with an increased lordosis, or if they have what's called lower cross syndrome, because it seems to be the term that everyone's using nowadays, it just means that you stand more like that. So it puts a lot more strain on your back. Now physical therapists and chiropractors, healthcare professionals in general, will teach people to do what's called a posterior pelvic tilt. So what they do is they teach them to come all the way down. Now the only issue is with that, especially if someone's laying on the table, they say flatten out to the table. Well, the only problem is that reverses the curve completely. It flattens out our back, and our low back is not flat to begin with. So we actually want a pelvic tilt to neutral. So that would be a normal anatomic posture, where if I'm here, really all I want to do is get to here. I don't want to do that because now I've reversed it, and see, it's already changed the position in my upper back. So that's not the position that we want. So if I'm, again, starting in that anterior pelvic tilt, I'm really just coming to neutral. So again, shoulders are gonna be dropped right over the hip bones. Now, sometimes that can be too hard for individuals. So what we end up doing is when we're in this position, our glutes actually do the same thing for us. So if I just squeeze my butt muscles, it creates hip extension, which is actually this position. But since my feet are fixed, it's gonna then get my hips back underneath me. So I don't have to do a lot. I don't have to create that pelvic tilt, which actually comes more from my muscles through here. Because that's not a good look. I'm shortening the tissue here. I'm using my anterior core to pull my sternum and my pelvis closer together. And I'm reducing the curvature here. And we have curves in our spine to reduce the stress on it. If we didn't have curves in our spine, the second we created axial loading, our spine would probably snap. So that's why we have it. It disperses the force evenly. So we want to get that back to a neutral position. Now, it doesn't matter which exercise that we're using. We can always do it in a standing position. We can do it in a lying down position, but just getting to neutral is really the key. So even if I'm just doing a simple pull down exercise, if I don't use my core and I don't get back to my pelvic tilt, a lot of people you'll find will start to pull and then they'll arch to create stability. And that's what makes them feel secure. So what I have them do is pelvic tilt to neutral. It's just that little tiny movement, or if they like the idea of just squeezing a muscle, squeeze your butt first, then people can brace or draw in. I did a video on that a couple months ago. But either suck in the belly button or tighten it, bear down, and then that sets us up into a good position, and then I can go through my movements. Now, if I'm using my core the way that I should, and we're including the glutes into the core, it actually takes stress off my arms. So even if I'm doing a forward press, as I push, if I'm not stabilizing, then all that stress is gonna be placed on my shoulder. So all I have to do, pelvic tilt to neutral, tighten. Then if I want to, again, now I can add back in that chin tuck. So again, we want to put ourselves in to these positions. Now, does that mean that's what I have to look like all the time? No, absolutely not. There are going to be some functional positions that we can't pelvic tilt, and that's perfectly okay. The goal isn't to make ourselves look perfect. The goal is to make ourselves resilient, so that if we put ourselves into a provoking position, or if we put ourselves into a position that would be deemed bad or inappropriate, our body can withstand that stress. We have to remember things like sitting. Sitting is not bad for us. Running is not bad for us. If we make our body resilient enough, we can withstand these stressors. So I would give that a shot. Again, pelvic tilting, past neutral, not good for us. Pelvic tilting to neutral, just that little bit of a pelvic tilt so that we can line things up perfectly. You're really gonna save the day. Start practicing with a lot of your exercises. Again, it teaches your body how to become more stable, whether it's in laying on your stomach, laying on your back, standing on both legs, standing on one leg. Very simple, and it's just a matter of habit. The more we can teach our body to do that, at a certain point, the body's gonna say, this is my new norm. So give that a shot. If you have any questions, go ahead and reach out, and thanks for watching.